The moment Kieran Frost stepped through the security barrier, he felt the cold. Not the ambient temperature. The entire research station Helas 9 was climate-controlled to precise specifications, but something deeper, something in the atmosphere itself. First-day jitters, Mr. Frost. Dr. Voss handed him his clearance badge, her thin lips forming what might generously be called a smile. You'll find our facility operates at the highest standards of intergalactic scientific protocol. Yes, Mom, Kieran replied, adjusting the collar of his technician uniform. 6 years of advanced xenobiology training had landed him this coveted position, maintaining the intricate life support systems of the Galactic Alliance's most secretive research outpost. I'm ready to begin immediately. Eager. Good. Voss tapped her tablet. You've been briefed on confidentiality expectations, particularly regarding Specimen Delta. Kieran nodded, though the mysterious file had contained surprisingly little information. Just security clearances and warnings. Lots of warnings. Then follow me. 3 checkpoints later, they entered a vast circular chamber. The lighting was dim except for the center, where a cylindrical tank glowed with soft blue illumination. Inside floated what appeared to be a woman, if women had skin that rippled with patterns of luminescent blue and violet. Her eyes were closed, long silver hair drifting around her as if suspended in water, though Kieran could see it wasn't liquid but some type of containment field. Specimen Delta, Voss announced clinically, captured during the Sateri conflict. Highly dangerous. Your maintenance duties include monitoring field integrity and ensuring no system failures. Kieran struggled to maintain his professional demeanor. What exactly is she? That's classified beyond your clearance, Mr. Frost. All you need to know is the field must remain at 98% minimum strength. She has demonstrated telepathic abilities that can influence weaker minds. Kieran watched the being floating peacefully. She didn't look dangerous. She looked imprisoned. Has anyone tried communicating with her? He asked. Dr. Voss's expression hardened. We are not here to communicate with potential weapons, Mr. Frost. We are here to study and contain. Do I make myself clear? Yes, Doctor. After Voss departed, Kieran found himself alone with his duties, and with her. As he calibrated the monitoring equipment, he couldn't help glancing up every few moments. There was something mesmerizing about her rhythmic bioluminescence, like watching the tide of an alien ocean. On his third glance, her eyes were open. Kieran froze. They were silver, completely silver, with no visible pupil, yet somehow he knew she was looking directly at him. Not through him, like the other researchers, but at him. A sensation like warm water running down his spine made him shiver. For a moment, he felt a presence brushing against his thoughts, delicate as fingertips. Curious, not afraid. The thought wasn't his own, but it appeared in his mind with perfect clarity. Against every protocol, Kieran stepped closer to the containment field. The woman's light patterns shifted, quickening slightly. Her expression remained serene, but there was something intensely alert in her posture now. Who are you? Kieran thought deliberately, uncertain if she could hear. The patterns across her skin pulsed once, twice. Then a single word formed in his mind. Prisoner. Kieran swallowed hard. He should report this contact immediately. Instead, he glanced at the security cameras and subtly adjusted one monitoring panel, creating a small feedback loop that would mask their interaction from surveillance. I'm Kieran, he thought. Are you hurt? Her head tilted slightly, silver hair drifting around her face like a halo. No pain. Only emptiness. The loneliness in that sentiment struck him like a physical blow. Before he could respond, a distant door hissed open. Kieran quickly moved back to his station, heart pounding. As Dr. Voss returned with another researcher, Kieran kept his eyes on his work, but he could feel the silver gaze following him. And somehow he knew with absolute certainty, everything was about to change. For 3 weeks, Kieran maintained his facade of professional indifference. By day, he performed his maintenance tasks with methodical precision, earning Dr. Voss's grudging approval. By night, he researched everything he could access about Specimen Delta, finding only redacted files and vague references to the Centauri conflict. But in the precious moments when security rotated and cameras cycled to backup systems, they connected. Her name was Aeolia, he learned. Not through spoken words. Her voice had been deliberately suppressed by harmonics in the containment field, but through the images and impressions he placed in his mind. She was not what they claimed. Not a weapon. Not an experiment. "They're coming," Dr. Voss announced one morning as Kieran arrived, looking unusually animated. "The Galactic Defense Council is sending a delegation. They want progress reports on weaponizing Delta's abilities." Kieran's stomach tightened. Weaponizing. You've noticed the bioluminescence, surely. It's tied to her telepathic range. At full capacity, she could theoretically influence hundreds simultaneously. Voss smiled thinly. "Our inhibitors are the only thing preventing it." That night, Kieran worked late, ensuring he would be alone in the chamber. When the facility quieted, he approached the containment field. "Aeolia," he called mentally. Her eyes opened immediately, luminescent patterns brightening across her silver-blue skin. The connection between them had grown stronger with each interaction. Now he felt not just her thoughts but emotions washing over him. Relief, warmth, something deeper. "They hurt you today," he thought, seeing faint marks where new sensors had been attached to her temples. "Pain passes," she responded. "Loneliness endures." Kieran pressed his palm against the field barrier, feeling its subtle resistance. To his astonishment, Aeolia drifted closer inside her prison and raised her hand to mirror his. Only inches separated them, yet it might as well have been light years. "I dream of stars," she shared, and suddenly Kieran's mind filled with visions of worlds he'd never seen. Crystalline cities, oceans that glowed from within, skies painted with 3 moons. Not dreams, he realized. Memories. "You're not from the Centauri system," he thought. "I am Aeolia Vex Lumen, daughter of the Luminary Council." Pride and sorrow mingled in the thought. "We sought alliance with your people. They answered with chains." Heat flushed through Kieran. Not embarrassment, but something else. As their palms remained aligned across the barrier, something unexpected transpired. The connection deepened, and suddenly he felt her presence not just in his mind, but seeming to caress his skin, an intimate touch without physical contact. Aeolia's patterns shifted to deep purples and blues, her silver eyes widening. "I did not intend," she began. "Don't stop," Kieran thought before he could censor himself. What followed was unlike anything he'd experienced, a union of minds that somehow translated to sensations throughout his body. Her consciousness entwined with his, sharing not just thoughts but desire, wonder, a hunger for connection that transcended the physical barrier between them. When it ended, Kieran found himself breathless, his forehead pressed against the containment field. Aeolia's luminescence pulsed in slow, rhythmic waves that he somehow knew matched his heartbeat. "Among my people," she finally thought, "minds join before bodies ever touch. You feel as one destined." In that moment, Kieran made his decision. No matter the cost, he would find a way to free her. The delegation from the Galactic Defense Council brought with them heightened security and, unexpectedly, opportunity. Amidst the flurry of activity preparing for their arrival, Kieran accessed terminals usually beyond his clearance level. Specimen logs, Frost. Lieutenant Maddox raised an eyebrow as he passed Kieran in the data center. Dr. Voss requested baseline comparisons. Kieran lied smoothly. "Wants to show improvements in the containment metrics." The files he discovered confirmed what Aeolia had shared, and worse, she wasn't just anyone from the Luminary Council. She was heir to their leadership. Her capture had been deliberate, an act of political calculation rather than military necessity. The Luminary civilization had technology the Alliance coveted, but wouldn't share, particularly their advanced telepathic interfaces. That night, when they connected, Kieran could barely contain his anger. "They know exactly who you are," he thought furiously. Aeolia's expression remained serene, though her luminescence darkened to midnight blue. Yes. Did you doubt me? No, but... Karen struggled. Why not tell everyone? Expose this injustice. Who would hear? Who would believe? Her mental voice carried centuries of weariness. Your leaders fear what they cannot control. They were interrupted as the chamber door hissed open unexpectedly. Karen spun, finding himself face to face with Dr. Voss. Unusual hours for maintenance, Mr. Frost, she said, eyes narrowing. System fluctuations, he replied. I wanted to stabilize them before tomorrow's demonstration. Voss approached the containment field, studying Aeolia with cold calculation. Interesting. Her luminescent patterns are intensified, almost as if stimulated. Karen held his breath as Voss turned toward him. You know, Mr. Frost, at first I questioned your assignment here. Your qualifications seemed ordinary. She tapped her tablet. Yet your work has been exemplary, perhaps too perfect. I take pride in thoroughness, Doctor. Indeed. She glanced between him and Aeolia. Remember our primary directive, Mr. Frost. No matter what fantasies you might entertain about our specimen, she is not human, not even close. Whatever you believe you see in her is merely projection, or worse, manipulation. After she left, Karen didn't dare risk further communication. But as he departed, he felt Aeolia's consciousness brush his one last time, a touch so intimate it made him shiver. They will transfer me tomorrow, she warned. The demonstration is a pretext. After, I go to a military facility. Forever. That night, Karen made preparations of his own. The day of the delegation's visit, chaos was Karen's ally. Security focused on the visiting dignitaries while technicians scrambled to prepare Aeolia's chamber for demonstration. We'll need to lower containment parameters briefly during the transition to the enhanced field, Dr. Voss instructed. Frost, you'll monitor system stability during the sequence. Yes, Doctor, Karen replied, his hidden data chip heavy in his pocket. The delegation filed in. Military officials in formal attire, scientists with hungry eyes. They gathered around Aeolia's chamber like spectators at an exhibition. Distinguished representatives, Voss began. What you're about to witness represents the culmination of 3 years' research into telepathic amplification. Karen moved to his assigned console, fingers hovering over the controls. He had one chance. As Voss initiated the demonstration sequence, Karen uploaded his virus. Designed to look like a power surge, it would create a 90-second window when all systems, including surveillance, would reset. Beginning field transition in 3, 2. The lights flickered. Screens went dark. What's happening? Voss demanded. Power fluctuation, Karen called, already moving toward the containment field's manual override. Backup systems engaging. In the momentary darkness, he reached the control panel and entered the sequence he'd memorized. The containment field shimmered and began to dissolve. For the first time, Aeolia moved with purpose. As the field dissipated, her luminescence flared blindingly bright. Several delegates cried out, shielding their eyes. Karen felt her hand grasp his, warm, solid, real, and electricity seemed to course between them at the first physical contact. Stop them, Voss shouted as emergency lighting activated. But Aeolia raised her free hand, and everyone except Karen froze in place. Not paralyzed, Karen realized, but caught in a moment of mental confusion. Their perceptions slowed. We have minutes, Aeolia spoke aloud for the first time, her voice musical and resonant. The effect won't hold them long. They ran, through corridors, past confused security personnel who moved as if underwater, to the shuttle bay Karen had identified in his planning. Inside the smallest vessel, Karen initiated launch protocols while alarms began blaring throughout the station. As the shuttle broke free, Aeolia placed her hands on either side of Karen's face. The mental connection that bloomed was deeper than ever before, but now accompanied by physical touch. Her lips met his in their first kiss as the stars streaked around them, her luminescence enveloping them, both in waves of blue-silver light. What followed transcended ordinary intimacy, their consciousnesses interwoven completely even as their bodies joined. Kieran experienced her emotions as his own. She shared his memories as hers. When they finally separated, breathless and transformed, the shuttle's view screen showed a Galactic Alliance cruiser in pursuit. "They're gaining," Kieran warned. Aeolia smiled for the first time, radiant, determined. "Then we shall have to disappear." "It's a suicide run," Kieran muttered, watching the Alliance cruiser closing distance. "We'll never reach the jump point before they're in weapon range." Aeolia stood behind him, her hands on his shoulders. Her luminescence had changed again. No longer reactive patterns but organized, geometric configurations rippling across her skin. "Not suicide," she corrected gently. "Transformation." She guided his hands away from the controls. "Trust me, beloved." The word sent warmth cascading through him. Kieran nodded, surrendering to her certainty. Aeolia closed her silver eyes, luminescence intensifying until the shuttle's interior glowed like the heart of a star. The pursuing cruiser fired warning shots across their bow. "What are you?" Kieran began, but then felt her consciousness expanding outward, far beyond their small vessel. The cruiser suddenly veered off course, its weapon systems powering down. "You controlled them?" he asked, astonished. "Merely suggested an urgent mission elsewhere," she replied with the ghost of a smile. "Now for the difficult part." She positioned herself at the shuttle's navigation console, placing her palms against the interface. Instead of typing coordinates, her luminescence flowed into the system itself. Displays flickered with symbols Kieran had never seen. "My people hide in the shadows between recognized star systems," she explained as her fingers traced patterns in light. "In places your maps name void or empty space." The shuttle shuddered, then lurched forward at impossible speed. Stars blurred, then vanished entirely, replaced by swirling darkness that somehow glittered with its own inner light. When they emerged, Kieran gasped. Before them hung a world like none he'd ever seen, a planet encircled by luminescent rings that pulsed with colors matching Aeolia's skin. "Lux Vexia," she whispered. "Home." Their arrival did not go unnoticed. Ships approached, elegant vessels that seemed grown rather than built, their surfaces alive with the same bioluminescent patterns as Aeolia's skin. "They will not welcome me with celebration," she warned as they docked at a crystalline spaceport floating above the planet. "My capture was convenient for some on the Council who preferred alliance with the military faction." "Then why return?" Kieran asked. She took his hand, her eyes reflecting starlight. "Because some truths must be witnessed to be believed." The reception committee was a study in controlled tension. Tall, luminescent beings with Aeolia's silver eyes, but varied patterns of light moving across their skin. They spoke no audible words, yet Kieran sensed the tremendous mental conversation occurring. One elder stepped forward, his luminescence a deep indigo. "Daughter of Vex Lumen, you return changed." "I return enlightened," Aeolia responded, the thought projected so Kieran could hear. "You bring an outsider to our sanctuary. I bring proof that cooperation is possible." She squeezed Kieran's hand. "Our minds have joined completely. He carries my memories. I carry his. What your faction claimed impossible, we have achieved." The implications rippled through the assembled council like waves. Kieran felt their mental probing, gentle but unmistakable. "Show us," the elder demanded. Aeolia turned to Kieran, her expression questioning. He nodded his consent. What followed was unlike their private connections. Aeolia became a conduit, allowing the council to witness their journey. Not just events, but emotions, intentions, the profound bond they had formed. Kieran felt momentarily exposed, then supported as Aeolia's consciousness sheltered his throughout the sharing. When it ended, the council chamber had fallen completely silent. The elder's luminescence had brightened considerably. The Alliance imprisoned you to study weaponization of our abilities. Yes, Aeolia confirmed. While you debated, they acted. We must now choose. Retreat further into hiding, or engage on our terms. Days of deliberation followed as the Council divided, argued, and finally unified behind Aeolia's vision. Kieran watched with pride as she addressed her people, proposing not isolation nor subjugation, but selective alliance with trustworthy worlds. Their private moments were precious amid the political transformation. In chambers of living crystal overlooking luminescent oceans, they explored each other fully, physical intimacy enhanced by mental connection that grew deeper with each passing day. 3 weeks after their arrival, Aeolia brought Kieran to the council chamber once more. The elders had reached their decision. Aeolia Vexlumen will lead our diplomatic initiative, the elder announced. As for the human, Kieran tensed, preparing for banishment or worse. He has proven the possibility of true connection between our kinds. Our laws permit only one resolution. Aeolia stepped forward, taking both Kieran's hands in hers. Her luminescence synchronized with his heartbeat, as it had that first night. Among my people, she said aloud, when minds join as ours have, it creates a bond recognized by all. Not captive and liberator, not fugitive and accomplice, but equals in all things. Her silver eyes searched his. If you consent, the Council offers you citizenship, and I offer partnership, forever. Kieran looked from her to the assembled Council, then back to the woman who had transformed his understanding of connection itself. I crossed stars to find you, he said simply. I'll cross galaxies to stay. As they sealed their commitment, Aeolia's luminescence enveloped them both, creating a new constellation of light visible even from the planet's surface, a beacon of possibility in a universe that had forgotten how to hope. Retriclaude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.